Hey guys, it's Nerdwino. I got to sit down with Astro at the end of March of this year, 2023. I'm just getting around to putting out the video now. Sorry, apologies. We had a great chat. Astro told us about a lot about his life, about his astrophotography, his love for astronomy, and how he got into streaming. So check out this video. Astro puts out some amazing content on Twitch. He's live regularly. Check him out there at Astro I hope you guys enjoy the video. Thanks, guys. There he is. All is well.
There I am. Oh my gosh.
What doesn't appear to be working is I had a little... maybe we have to put that under there. There we go. I gave you a little graphic there for you as well, so everybody knows who you are.
Oh, fabulous.
Welcome in, Astrophotography.
Hello.
Sorry for the trouble there. A little technical difficulty, but...
I said before, if there aren't any technical difficulties, is it really a stream?
Exactly. It is not. It is totally not a stream. Let me just kill the music for a second here. Wherever that is. All right, very good. So, yes. Thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate it. I know that, you know, once you become a partner on Twitch, you immediately start getting your inbox is flooded, your phone is ringing off the hook.
I'm up to my eyeball in
$1 million deals and you know, all that stuff. So we'd certainly appreciate you taking the time away from all that highbrow stuff to come and hang out with us for a little bit.
No, I enjoy the lowbrow. No, come on, this is awesome stuff. I appreciate what you're doing out here, my man.
Oh, thanks. That's very kind of you. That's very kind. So yeah, so chat. If you have questions for Astro we will throw them up in the chat, and we'll try and get to as many as we can. I have a few questions for myself. I thought what we might do is start with a little speed quiz, if you like, or a
speed. You're getting ready for Monday, aren't you? That's what it is.
There's no gotcha questions here, but it is just the first thing that comes into your mind. And so we're going to call this segment Know Your Partner. And so I will just go through and ask the questions, and we will learn about Astro. Okay, so cats or dogs?
Cats.
Cats. Favorite streamer?
Oh, wow. Wow. My gosh. That's favorite streamer. This is taking way too long to I guess I'm gonna go with the most influential streamer, and that would be Nutty.
Very nice.
The gentleman is in Australia. He is a wealth of information, and I highly encourage, if anybody is streaming, you've never heard of Nutty, go follow him. You know, he will help. He is all about helping people with their streams. And a lot of the stuff that he has created has helped me immensely. And I hope that so many others have benefited from it. So yeah, I'll give a shout out to him.
So apparently we've just lost the audio. Man, come on. Are you there still, Astro? You are there. I see you. Can we kind of hear you though? Can we? All right, here. Let's try. Since swapping scenes worked so well for us before. Oh wait, are you back? No.
The host or mod muted my mic.
There you go. You're good. But people are saying they have a double audio feed, which I'm not quite sure why that would be the case. I can kind of hear an echo as well, but I don't think
I have audio on anywhere else.
All right. People are just going to have to enjoy hearing you twice. Okay. All right. So let's continue. Favorite time of day?
11:30 a.m.
11:30. All right. Favorite sandwich?
Croque Monsieur.
Croque Monsieur. Very nice. Apples or oranges?
Apples. We eat the whole thing. Oranges, the skin's way too bitter.
You're all the way down to the core, the whole thing, seeds?
I bit by bit, I'm building up my cyanide tolerance.
Good Lord. All right. What's the most memorable stream you ever had?
My Mother's Day stream where my mom came on to build a Lego set with me.
Yeah, and kicked your butt if I remember correctly.
Yes, yeah.
uh, all right. Favorite video game?
Mario 64.
All right. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Favorite movie?
A Bug's Life.
Nice. That's an unexpected answer. Very good. A paper book or ebook?
Ooh, I'm gonna throw out an option C, an audiobook.
Oh, all right. Favorite scientist? Could be dead or alive.
Bill Nye.
Nice. Star Trek or Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Star Wars. Excellent.
I do. Well, I still enjoy Star Trek. It's Star Wars was the first.
That's
the first love.
That is the correct answer, so that's good. Favorite city?
Out of the main two I've lived in, I'm gonna tip the hat to London.
London.
As much as I love Toronto, but
Yeah.
London, England has its perks, has its much better laid out underground transportation system.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That is one thing I miss is the tube.
I don't care if Toronto only has like 2 or 3 lines. I was way more confused in Toronto than I ever was in London. It's so weird.
Last question. Which one place in the universe do you want to visit before you die?
In the universe,
Could be here on Earth, could be wherever,
I mean, I guess it'd be fairly simple. Saturn, at least maybe around to Enceladus and check out Saturn's rings from afar.
Fair enough. Very good. All right, that's it. You've passed. It was a pass-fail exam, and you did very well. Yeah. You got your Nerdwino equivalent. No. No, thanks for taking part in that. That's just a bit of fun, but I thought people might be interested to know a little bit more about you, some random stuff. So obviously you just made partner. Pretty impressive. Congrats. Many congrats. I think it's absolutely awesome. It was nice to watch kind of with you and a couple other people who we think we both know. It's been super fun to watch the journey.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, interesting. All right. So how did you get started? What made you start streaming?
What made me start streaming? I listened to a podcast called Space Junk, and it was run by Tony Darnell from Deep Astronomy and Dusty Gibson from OPT Telescopes in California. And they would interview all sorts of people who are in the astrophotography world. And they were speaking with a gentleman, Greg George, goes by Econ Greg on Twitch. And he was just talking about how he set things up. His son was big into Twitch. He did a lot of e-gaming, and he just figured out a way to connect his telescope to the computer and then share those images from his backyard in Georgia. And I'm listening to this, like that's kind of cool. It sounded very interesting. And I was living in the UK at the time, and we had pretty much just got into lockdown, and we were kind of like fluctuating back and forth. Oh yeah, we're going back to work, not going back to work. So things happened with life, and I was living there by myself for a while, and I figured, what can I do to kind of keep my sanity going and try out something different? And it was trying to get the telescope hooked up to my computer. That was a nightmare for the longest time. I think I spent the better part of like almost 2 months troubleshooting and trying to find a way to get this all to work. But I started off on Facebook. My very first stream was just me holding up my mobile phone to the screen because I couldn't get anything else to work. So that was it was interesting. And I was out there in the freezing cold. It was it was probably about, okay, maybe it wasn't freezing cold, but it was chilly enough. But just being able to share the images with people, I had friends and family on Facebook joining in and giving me the gears because, well, that's what friends do, right?
Of course.
And I did a few streams through Facebook Live, which were okay. I couldn't quite customize things the way I wanted to. And then I found out, I looked more into, I thought back to Econ Greg and what he did on Twitch, and just thought there was so much more to be able, so much more to do to um, customize things on here and allow chat to interact with the stream. And I'm like, I like this little bit of chaos, you know. So it was getting all that together. Again, many weeks of trying to get through TeamViewer to connect to the ASI Air through my tablet, and it was a whole MacGyver Mickey Mouse setup. And eventually we got there, and it was very, very slow. And at times, I think I probably said more than any other word during a stream to about like two people for the better part of like a month.
That's what I was going
Yeah.
to say. Yeah. So two people. So I think we've all been there. Well, anyone that streams has been there. What changed? What was the sort of turning point when you started to really get some traction?
It was well, what I started doing, I was doing astronomy, but then I kind of supplemented it with doing some video games, which you know, everybody, a lot of people play games on Twitch, but I was trying to keep it London centric. There's a Watchdog games that had come out that was based in London. And I was like, I'm going to play this game because I worked in London for so long and I went around to the places where I worked. I'm like, let's see how accurate the thing is. Spoilers, it's very condensed. It's not a full size map of London, but it was fun just to be able to kind of go around and have people joining in who were in the area and say, I didn't know this game was out. And it was just a little bit of interaction. Um, the big thing, obviously, hitting that affiliate is kind of can be a very big step for a lot of people, and it was for me as well. And I remember the first thing, and my dad was the first one who commented on something was different when he joined in, and he was like, "What's up with these commercials?" He was so cheesed that he had to watch a commercial first, and I was like, this is the start of something new here. You know, we kind of reached this affiliate level. And, you know, we can start to monetize things, and you know, there's the initial congratulations, you've reached affiliate, and you know, just and what I tried to do was at least reach out to other social media aspects, because even those were low numbers, and even I would say like Facebook and Twitter are very supplemental for everything that's done.
Yeah,
I don't think there's not as much traction for Twitch on there as there is just more for sharing the images that we take. So yeah, interesting beginning, and like it's the hard part is listening to how many other people are doing what on the platform. You see all these successful people with tens of thousands of viewers, and that's hard to get out of your head at first, thinking, well, why not me? And I think that's I was talking about this with other people, is that that's not your competition, that you're your own competition out here. And it can be difficult to get that out of your head and stay in a good state of mind,
for
you
sure.
know.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that's right. It can be, and a lot of those people, even like I follow a couple of the Warzone streamers, and they have hundreds of thousands, like 150,000 followers, and they're huge. And they just a couple of years ago, they were streaming to two or three people as well, and it's just one of those serendipitous things where somebody big rated them and they picked up a bunch of followers, and it kind of snowballed. And you never know when that kind of thing is just around the corner. But I think it's also important just to stream for your own kind of enjoyment, right? Otherwise,
Yeah.
if you're competing with other people, I don't know.
No, I don't think it's a competition. I think if anything, it's we're out here to help each other out in as many ways as we can, because you know what? Nobody's truly going to be, you're not stealing viewers from anybody. If
Right.
anything, we're sharing larger communities. We're building like an even greater community than just the ones that we have on our specific stream.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. So Gwendolyn P said, how many hours did you stream per stream when you first started out?
I think it was probably, I think the first stream it was an hour, and I was exhausted.
It is, yeah, it's hard work when you.
I Outside of streaming, and a lot of people can attest to this, I'm very quiet. I will observe more than anything and chime in with a smart ass remark. But for the most part, yeah, I'm quiet. So all of a sudden going into a platform where I need to, where that was one thing I kind of picked up on was like someone said, just keep talking. Just whether there's 1 people or 100 people in the stream, keep the conversation going
Yeah.
and don't leave just dead air for like an extended period of time unless it works for comedy.
Do you I didn't know you had comedy on your stream. That's cool. Yeah.
There's a chuckle every now and then, but we try to keep things pretty serious.
Yeah. Of course. I've noticed. Yeah. But yeah, I think actually it's harder to stream to 1 or 2 people, right? Because you are the entire conversation. Whereas once you have a few people who ask questions and once it's interactive, it becomes a lot less kind of like of a struggle to some degree.
I think the unsung heroes are the people who will join in and just kind of just keep
Yeah.
that conversation going with you.
100%.
And I've hung out in a few streams where like in the beginning, and it wasn't even just for, it wasn't that I wouldn't feel sorry for the person. It was just that I was having a nice conversation with people, and it was, like maybe 4 or 5 people in the stream, and I kind of enjoyed the smaller groups because the chat wouldn't be ripping by.
Yeah.
You could keep up with the conversation, and you just kind of we started building these connections and these friendships through our screens. And I think at the height of the pandemic, when everybody was in the lockdown, that's pretty much all we had. If there was one kind of thing that was a silver lining, was streaming and just being able to connect with people all around the world at any hour.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So there's a couple of questions from chat. Soph Love says, "Can we watch the first stream anywhere?"
Okay, the very first stream, maybe the very first Facebook stream. As far as the first Twitch stream, I think a few of those, some streams have been lost to the digital ether, where it's just files have been either lost or deleted or uh, not uploaded to YouTube. But I think Facebook has the earliest streams that would be available. So you got to go back to like October 2021 or September 2021, even 2020. That's a good question. But
uh,
yeah,
yeah, okay. And then yeah, the answer for me would be no, I haven't saved any of my streams. Whatever's on the VOD is what I have, I think. It never occurred to me, I think, when I started. But Gwendolyn P says, "Were you nervous on the early streams?" And I would say, do you still get nervous before you stream, or no?
nervous on the early streams. Yes, I would. Every word, I would constantly. There's so many ums, and the one thing I looked up online, just try to, how can you improve speaking? Like it's a lot of things that you like. I catch myself going a lot every now and then. I found that one of the more important things I found was to say when you're done speaking is to close your mouth and don't leave a gap for any other words or thoughts to come out until you're ready for the next bit. Otherwise, you just kind of you'll have some filler sounds. So that was one of the things that I tried to keep up with and make sure that I was putting less ums in there and allowing just natural pauses to happen. But as far as nerves go, I had no idea what was going on. And it was, pardon me, because it was just me talking. So try to fill in an entire hour was daunting at that time. And then kind of going, let's do an hour and a half. And then all of a sudden it was like, here's a 3 hour stream. Like, wow. Like my throat was sore, but just kind of getting used to the flow of a stream and realizing when it's time to wrap things up versus
Yeah.
when it's like, let's kind of go a little longer. But as far as getting nervous now, yes. Still every time, pretty much every time. If I don't, most of the time, I will have a rough plan in my mind about what we're going to do, what we're going to talk about. And then somebody, not going to name names, chat, will derail things wonderfully. But there are other times when I'm thinking, is this going to be interesting? are people going to show up for it? And I think starting the crafting streams was a bit of a risk that I felt because I didn't know it was still in the vein of astronomy, but like moving into like the crafting world just to add some more content. And that was the one thing I couldn't rely on clear skies all the time. So I wanted to think of something else I could do to pad the time, but also add value and keep it in line with astronomy. So that was a kind of a bit of a risk that I didn't know how it was going to play out. And even now, even like every stream, it's like, is this going to be the night where people are like, nah, we're done? And I totally get it because life is going to take us in all different directions.
Yeah, 100%. No, I think that's right. And you do definitely see people come and go, from chat over time. There's people who were here from at the beginning, even for me, like less than a year ago, who I don't see anymore. Occasionally, I'll get like a message on Discord or something like, "Oh, I haven't been around." But yeah. So so you at some point you started with the Lego. You said that was when you moved back here. You started that, or was that in London, or?
I was still in London. I had graduated from university, and I bought myself the Apollo 11 lander, the lunar mission set, as a gift to me. I thank myself for that. And I was looking at it, like, there's a lot of space-based Lego, and I kind of there's options on chat to have the channel point contributions for an overall
Uh-huh.
goal.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, all right, let's see, will people be interested? And so it was the International Space Station was the goal, and the bar actually filled up pretty quick. And this was April in the first year of affiliate, so I hadn't finished like an entire year of streaming. So again, even that, I didn't know how that was going to go, and people, because I never heard of anybody building Lego on stream. Not that I thought it was doing anything revolutionary, but it was just by no stretch of the imagination. But it was just one of those things where, will people watch someone build a Lego set?
Yeah.
TLDR, yes. But I also enjoy watching tons of other brick builders, create Lego sets that maybe I'm not interested in purchasing, but I would just like to see how it pans out, just
Yeah.
how the construction goes with the Lego sets.
Yeah, 100%. And I enjoy watching those streams as well, almost as much as the astrophotography stuff sometimes. So just catching up on chat a little bit. Zesty Fungi says, "Did Astro see the early streams as a hobby? When did you know that streaming was going to become a bigger aspect of your life?"
Mm, it was obviously early on, just kind of well, it's still technically a hobby because I can't call it a full-time gig at the moment, and nor would before I kind of get into the other answer, I don't know about actually even saying that this would be a full-time thing I would do. I enjoy it, but at the same time, there is something that, obviously with Twitch, we rely on the generosity of others if we're going to monetize things over here. And I never ever is that the point of what I'm doing. So to say I'm relying on the kindness of people in the community, that doesn't sit comfortably with me.
Sure. Yeah.
That I appreciate it. I'm entirely grateful for what anybody ever does, whether it's 1 bit, it's 100 bits, no matter what, you are parting with your hard-earned money, and I cannot give enough thanks. The best thing I feel I can do is to just be able to share the night sky as often as we can. That's always been my goal. And if we can hit some goals, awesome. But I am good with I will do the work during the day and then still keep this going at night
Sure. Yeah.
because that's what I'm comfortable with.
Uh-huh. Well, that's totally fair.
So on a lighter note, Travel the World 604 would like to know how you keep your beard looking so fantastic.
I've been thinking about should I have a little grooming video on my routine.
Probably.
It is a combination of keeping it trimmed up at least weekly. Don't let it get out of control. And some heat resistant spray. Beard spray smells a little minty. It's kind of nice and fresh. And then beard butter is incredible. I only recently discovered beard butter. I was using beard oil for the longest time, but there is something about this compound that you put in your beard. It has a nice weight, and it just keeps everything a little shiny. Doesn't feel greasy.
Everything just
I think I'm
hangs
gonna have to. I
just
think I have to do a video.
hangs where it's supposed to. Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, a video would be good. I think I think could be a. You could have a whole thing.
I only have like one produced YouTube video, and it's me smashing the space shuttle. So I think maybe I guess it's time to do something else that's purpose driven on YouTube.
Yeah, why not? You could always start entering the contests like the guy who I worked with at JPL that used to enter the moustache and beard contests. Leia Mcore would like to know if there's any craft that you would be interested in learning from chat if you were given the opportunity.
Having chat guide me on this. That'd be hilarious. I will say some of the people I've happened across, and what I appreciate people sharing in our Discord is some crocheting, some needlework creations. Either if it's with was it knitting is needles, crocheting is a hook.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah,
we're at the limit of my knowledge, but I think that's right.
yeah. And like my grandmother, she would crochet without patterns. She would look at something, and maybe like one of our cousins had a doll, and she was like, I'd like but can you make me a dress? And she would look at the doll, and then there's a dress fitted for the doll perfectly.
Yeah.
And she would make slippers. So everybody had a pair of her slippers, and they're still like we talk about it was with Lego and crafting the term sable, stacks acquired beyond life expectancy. My grandmother did exactly that with her slippers. That there are still, even like we are like nearly 12 years after her passing, and we still have some of her slippers. Like my mom still has some of her slippers in her house.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so something like that. I think I see the work that Pick Stitch does with the with some video game characters, and making it's no longer just your grandmother's hobby.
Sure.
Like everybody, it's embraced by so many people, and they're making so many interesting creations. So, and it's all 3D. Like I've been largely working in a 2D world with graphic design. So to turn something into a 3D, like even my little science Antonia, she's still largely two-dimensional, right? There's not a whole lot of meat to her. So still working in the vein of a two-dimensional world. So it's that spatial awareness, I guess. So yeah, crocheting.
There you
I'd be
go.
down for that.
All right, fair enough. Zesty Fun Guy says, were there moments in the first year when you thought you would stop streaming, and why did you keep going? What kept you going?
For the most part, I had every intention of continuing on. It wasn't the feeling of I had to grind to keep doing it, but it was an outlet for a connection where because it was lockdown in the UK. I'd work all day, and there was pretty much nothing else. I wouldn't be going out, and yeah, quite frankly, um, I was pretty scared about things, and being in an area of the health system where you could be considered compromised for health. I was very uncomfortable going out at all, like ordering in groceries, wiping everything down, and just you know having trying to keep my a good state of mental health
Yeah.
was incredibly important. So streaming offered up a nice outlet for just connecting with a whole bunch of people all over the place. So there was never a time when I thought, nah, I'm going to stop doing this. It's There was always something fun. It's always fun to do this. I think the moment it starts to feel like a chore is when you got to step back and take stock about what you're doing. But for now, I am I'm feeling incredibly fulfilled with this and just enjoying meeting so many people. So in the beginning, it's not that in a bad way, or sorry, in a good way, it wasn't an option to quit.
Yeah, I understand. I know what you mean. It's yeah, I understand. Uh, so someone asked about Twitch. Why Twitch, not YouTube or what, or Facebook, or? I mean, I know you said that there were way more tools to make the stream more interactive and interesting on Twitch.
Yeah, I think it was largely, yeah, with Twitch is the immediate interaction. Things like this, what we're doing right now, is great because it's dynamic. We're watching chat go by, and we can immediately respond. Whereas if you're commenting on a video on YouTube, maybe the person might get back to you or just kind of leave a little like on your comment. That's kind of about it. It's where it ends. Uh, Facebook was Facebook was good, but there wasn't any kind of direct interaction that could happen. And YouTube is still largely for evergreen content.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people here like, oh, these big names have gone over to YouTube from Twitch, and it's the end of Twitch. No, it's people are. If you want to know how to fix your glasses, repair a light bulb, or cook a souffle to perfection, I'm going to go to YouTube and ask those questions. If I want to talk with someone and just learn about something new, I'm I'm gonna go on Twitch because there's that immediate connection that you can have, the immediate response, and there are some people out there who have some fun things you can do on their channel, and some people that will just absolutely blast your ears out. You know,
I don't know what you mean. Yeah, I mean, this is terrible. It's people that don't have their audio dialed in. Uh, so someone else in chat, I think, I'm not sure, it was actually Fungi maybe. And that's a question I was going to get to as well. So, you're kind of known for the interactivity of the stream and all the great redeems and all that stuff, the Lego and the astrophotography, but also the hot food, the spice. Where did that all start, and where did that come from? Has that been a
Where did
lifelong passion? Or?
I my grandmother, my baba, she was Macedonian. My dad's side is Scottish. When my dad first went to dinner with my mom, he'd only I think the hottest thing his mom had made was the hottest spice was salt. So he wasn't used to the spice, and when he went over to my mom's place for dinner for the first time, it was hot chili peppers on things. He thought they were trying to kill him. It was some weird kind of initiation. You're dating our daughter. We're just going to burn your face off. But eventually, he got into the hot spicy food, and right from the early start, I liked the chilies.
Uh-huh.
But it was a night I remember very specifically. I had a bag of the ghost pepper peanuts, and it was like there was like maybe a couple handfuls left, and it was the idea of, okay, what if we just say this every 50 bits I'll eat a ghost pepper peanut. And at the time, yeah, my spice tolerance was different, so it was an adventure eating the little peanuts, and kind of go from there. So okay, what if we do this? What hot sauce can we try at this stretch goal? And then it's just become just kind of ingrained into the stream, and also just being able to try to find out some different hot sauces and find out what I like, what I can tolerate, and what isn't going to rip my insides apart.
Yeah, yeah. What's the furthest you've traveled to find some, like, either the hot sauce or a chili pepper, or is it all pretty local?
It's all fairly local. I probably the farthest stuff I've ordered is like from Vermont for the ghost pepper maple syrup.
Uh-huh.
But there's so many options you can find in the grocery store now. That aside from ordering it direct from like a manufacturer, going to a specific place, Pepper Palace. I know they're out of like Tennessee, but they have stores in Canada. They have they have a huge selection, and some of them are really really good. Some of them are stupid spicy, but as long as this is fine. I always say that my mouth is fine burning. I can deal with that pain. It's when it works its way down and you're just not ready for it. It can create discomfort, like unfun discomfort.
Fair enough.
And I'm not about to let it rip on stream. I'm about to have one of those moments.
You don't have the filter for the mic and that low frequency. So where Ducky says you mentioned finishing university relatively recently, meaning you decided to go later in life. What was making that decision like, and how was that experience?
It was interesting because I went back to university as a mature student. Chronologically mature, but it was a decision moving from living in one little small town in the UK, moving to a new town, and just realizing that something kind of needed to change because I felt job wise I may have been stagnant. I did a couple of years of university back in Toronto at York, and it didn't end up being a good year for things, and I got incredibly discouraged and just went into the workforce. And there was an opportunity that kind of presented itself for a university that was close by in the I guess I'm out of the town now, living in Colchester, and there's the University of Essex, and there was Colchester Institute, which was a adjacent to the University of Essex, and there's a graphic design program. I was like, well, let's get a degree. Let's get that piece of paper that I've been without, and just kind of set that as a goal. So I went in there and went through all the interview stuff, and they said, well, there's no prerequisites. You don't have any kind of GCEs or nothing equivalent. And it's like, well, here's my work. Here's what I've done. And eventually, like, yeah, okay, fine, we'll take your money. You can come on in. But I went in there as I was the oldest by like a couple of years. There was one other guy who was in there, and he was just a couple of years younger than I was. But everybody else was like 19, 20. So it was all, they're kids.
Yeah.
So I got to go back to basics with university and start to just look at things from a new perspective for graphic design, because I have always been just jump into it and then go back and learn later. So having kind of like the starting from the ground up again and just kind of solidifying the foundation of what we do. And I found out through all of that's where kind of the crafting had come in, because there are some other little workshops we did that would involve making things by hand and doing print press work. So I enjoyed that, and also kind of being a bit of a mentor to the younger students, because I had the experience.
Yeah.
It was good, and I find that when other people weirdly, when other people are stressed out, I am much more calm. I don't feel their stress. I will do what I can to help them out. And I think we it was a good group of people. And as life goes, don't really keep in touch with anybody anymore. But in those 3 years, it was a nice close knit group of friends.
Yeah, very nice. And were you working at the same time, or you were just studying?
No, I was working at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
I worked at just in retail.
Very nice.
Actually,
All right.
it was in between. It was retail. There's actually a photography company I worked for that shut down, which was kind of sad. It was that was really fun. just being able to work with photography equipment and try things out.
Other people's photography equipment.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, Alex Fixon, how are you? So I have a question. So if you could go back in time to you when you were starting your first stream, what advice would you have for yourself just starting out?
Just starting out. I would just say you just got to you need to be honest with yourself first and foremost. Is after a stream is done, take that time to reflect on what has happened. Don't think about where you should be. Just see where you are at, and kind of still take things day by day, looking toward the future. But at the same time, it is be honest with everything that you're doing, and I think that will resonate with people. And I think you kind of start to feel that you go into other people's streams and you know when someone is being genuine about what they're sharing, what they're talking about. And it just seems like a much more warm and inviting place. I don't think there's ever been a brick building stream that I've joined into and felt that somebody was gatekeeping any knowledge, that they're any kind of like having like an exclusive club. If you don't build this certain set, you don't get to come in. And with the science community, everybody wants to be able to share the knowledge. Everybody wants to be able to reach out to as many people as they can. So, and there have been streams I've joined in, and it's like I don't feel comfortable in here. It just doesn't feel right.
Sure.
And it's maybe it's just maybe that you have with the community that's been built up, and maybe you just didn't get the nuance of things. But then there's been some people. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like you're trying to sell me something in the wrong kind of way.
Yeah. No, I think we've all been in those streams once. uh what do you think what do you think are going to be the big like if you had a crystal ball for the next sort of 12 to 24 months, what do you think's coming down the line for Twitch? What do you see the future of Twitch?
The future of Twitch
And streaming in general, I guess. I mean,
Hmm.
pandemic's over, everyone's back to work allegedly.
Yeah, I think work is for a lot of people has changed incredibly, and
So,
almost permanently. Things have changed, and I think that I feel that there is a greater emphasis on people going out on their own to do things. And yeah, maybe content creation can work full time for some people. And what like the one thing for me why I don't go full time is because I know I have to edit video on YouTube, and as much as I enjoy editing video, I don't like editing video. Twitch, I would do all the editing live, and that's it. Um,
that's true, yeah.
but as far as where things are going, there's always going to be ups and downs. I think right now we're in for a lot of people, a lot of places, we're in a bit of a dip. And as long as you know that that's happening, and it's not just one person it's happening to, that eventually they're the peaks. The peaks and the valleys. They're always going to happen. But I think that things obviously will get things will always be better. Yeah, sure, things are going to suck for a while, but there's always going to be doubt because the fact that we get news so quick, and it's like it's immediately it's all over, everything's crumbling, and then a couple of days later, oh, so that was just a knee-jerk reaction. Here's what's really going on. So I think it's taking news in stride and just kind of riding that wave and not feeling you're grinding on here. I think that more people, I feel we'll probably see more people come back to Twitch from YouTube. I
Yeah,
think people might be realizing that YouTube may not be what they thought it was going to do for them in terms of live streaming. I still think I don't think about going to YouTube for live streams.
yeah. It's definitely
It's
different. I've been in a few YouTube live streams and it's definitely a different atmosphere. sure.
And it's a totally different atmosphere. I see some people who have tried doing some YouTube streams, and it's a little more subdued. It's a little quieter, which is it can be nice for certain streams, but it just doesn't offer. It doesn't have the same feeling as Twitch does. It's a completely different venue to hang out in.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I mean, that's why I'm still here on Twitch. Not that, I mean, you know, it's a small stream, so it's not going to affect Twitch one way or the other, but I like it here. Zesty Fungi would like to know, what are some of your favorite Twitch channel emotes?
Some of my favorite Twitch channel emotes. What's my favorite Twitch channel? That is a good. I'm scrolling through my emotes right now.
Oh yeah,
they can change every so often, and I like when people will change emotes seasonally. So you kind of get something for Halloween or for Christmas, or maybe even a few Easter ones. But I've always been a fan of Loading Artist. These emotes are some of the best I've seen on Twitch. They work out for so many situations.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, I would say those get like kind of the best reaction if I'm kind of like dropping in emotes in Twitch.
Yeah.
But what I've liked as of late is anybody doing those flexing emotes.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you can almost drop in like any other emote with it. And it's hilarious.
Exactly. Yeah. Amish is. What's up for you for the next? What are your goals for the next? We talked about Twitch and where things are headed. What's the next thing for you? Like CEO of Twitch, or just gonna take over Amazon, or?
Yeah, just bulldoze over Bezos and
Right.
his phallic rockets. No, what do we want to do here? Obviously, what we've been working toward is a second Astro rig, which is, things can change based on opinions of equipment, but we're fairly solid on what we want to do for our next rig. And I think being able to have that second rig is going to open up things in terms of allowing people to use it on their own, to borrow time and get images, especially if they're in a different part of the world. If you're in the southern hemisphere, you've never been able to see. Sometimes even people just want to they just want to see the North Star.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's like it's just a star, but to people in the southern hemisphere, they hear about the North Star all the time. So things like that might be something that would interest people around the world, and also just being able to grow as a network of telescopes. That's the other thing I would like to do, not just on my stream, but incorporating so many others, and being able to try to organize a virtual star party with a lot of people. Depending on, I know weather is obviously going to play a huge factor, but if we get enough people, there should be enough areas where there are going to be clear skies, and we can talk about it in a roundtable discussion. Something like just being able to bring people together a little more than we already are, and also bring awareness to other streams that are out there. Because quite frankly, it still feels a little difficult to find a certain stream on Twitch.
Yeah.
That categories still quite match up. Also, partial name searches don't always work.
No, I've noticed that. That's true.
So, yeah, that's what I would like to be able to see, to help grow the network. And because of reaching partner, I'm able to get a stream team together. So what I'm working on, and we'll be getting people together for this, is a team astronomy. Like right from the get-go, I wanted to have something dedicated to space on Twitch, but nobody really had. I never really saw anything dedicated to space exploration. So if we can't have a tag, we can at least have well, actually now we can customize our tags, but even then, you customize your tag enough, people aren't going to look for it.
Right.
So,
That's true. Although, yeah, trying to guess what people are going to look for is always a bit of a challenge. And also we have the eclipse coming up next year as well. I think it would be kind of fun if we could try and get a few people actually physically together in the same place to watch the eclipse next year.
Yeah. Well, there's the annular eclipse that's going to be October 14th
this year. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be heading out toward Nevada, Utah area to try and capture it.
Purely for the eclipse, not for anything else, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, next week, the weekend after is TwitchCon, so I'm pretty sure I could probably,
what
spend
can you
a little bit of time and do some keep occupied in that area.
You have to go check out the partner lounge at least. You and Science can hang out together. Thumb your noses at the rest of us.
It's still I'm not used to it. I don't think I'll ever get used to it. It's just being in that partner situation and knowing other people who have attained it, and it's just like coming up with them as well. It's weird, but a good weird.
Yeah, no, I understand. That's also, I mean, it's I think it's fantastic. You work super hard and you thoroughly deserve it. And I think once you find your partner legs, you're gonna do great things. I'm sure of that. Zesty Fungi has a cheeky question in here. She says, of all the possible things, what do you like most about Nerdwino?
What do I most like about Nerdwino?
That's not a very nice question. Nothing.
I mean,
nothing. There you have it, folks. Nothing.
I don't know exactly what you did day to day at NASA, and quite frankly, I haven't heard the whole story, and it intrigues me just to see you were you worked with NASA. That sounds awesome. What did you do? What can you divulge?
So I didn't work on anything classified at all. It's pretty. I mean, I don't know. People get all like. Other people, I think, are much more kind of impressed and amazed and in awe of kind of NASA, the NASA thing. Than to me, it was it's a really nice campus. So JPL has a really nice campus. It's pretty big. There's a bunch of buildings, and I worked in one of the buildings. There's like 3 canteens. There's a post office, a bank. It's a big place. But pretty much, I mean, I shared an office. It was kind of a typical academic type of situation where people share offices, and I mean, we would just go in and pretty much do whatever research we had to do. So like initially, I was working on Planck, as you know, the cosmic microwave background experiment, and we were doing data analysis. So typical day would just involve logging into supercomputers. I mean, this was like 2006-7. So we would log into supercomputers at the Lawrence Berkeley National Lab and test our code and run our code, and inevitably it would break. We would sit in a queue, so we could run code on about 8 processes in the debug queue for like 30 minutes or something. That was the most you're allowed. Right. And the codes that we were running to try and solve the CMB stuff needed to run for like a week on 1,024 processes. And so you knew your code worked on 8 processes for 30 minutes. You queued it up for 1,024 processes for like a week, and it would sit in the queue. You would be in the queue with all the other people who are doing physics research. You had the same priority as your queue did, and after a week or 10 days, your code would execute. And if you were lucky, it worked, and if you weren't lucky, you would see it. You would see it start to run, and then you would see it stop almost immediately, and you'd be like, and yeah, there are a lot of meetings. You know, the usual, just like working anywhere. Lots of meetings. Lots of other projects going on as well. People had a lot of side projects, and obviously a lot of networking as well, getting to know people around the lab. So the way JPL works, and I assume other NASA centers, but JPL in particular, you're sort of, for the first 2 or 3 years, when you're an employee, they sort of support you and find projects for you to do, but eventually you're sort of responsible for filling your own time card with projects. And so a lot of people work on, 2 or 3 projects. They'll have 25% from this project, and maybe they work 50% on another project, and then you piece it together. And then once you get up to about 80%, then usually they'll help you figure out the last bit. If you're lucky, you get to work just on one thing, and you can kind of focus. But otherwise, you're kind of getting dragged in. The reality is, you're working 100% on 4 different projects.
Yeah, good boy.
And so it's pretty interesting. But yeah, I mean, a lot of cool stuff going on. A lot of super smart people, for sure. And definitely an interesting environment. But much, I would say, much like other academic type places. Although other academic places aren't doing a lot of the flight stuff, but I didn't really work on the flight side so much. So I got to see it. Like, you could go into the high bay and watch them working in the bunny suits on whatever the latest project was. You could go to the Mars yard and watch them testing the rover and stuff like that. That was always kind of cool.
That's neat. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was always fun. And then I also had an adjunct position at Caltech, so I would spend quite a bit of time at Caltech as well, working with some of the radio astronomy people down there in a lab, working on like FPGA stuff, which is like a field, like a programmable chip, basically, that you can reprogram, kind of like an Arduino but bigger and faster. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if that answers the question, but it's
a little more insight. Now, how many times would a project start and you put in a ton of work, and then all it's just afterwards like, yeah, we've cut this project. It's not going to amount to anything, or does funding get cut and you got to move on to something else? Does anything
yeah,
happen?
that happens a fair bit. It doesn't necessarily happen to funded projects, I would say. Although it can, it does from time to time. But more often, you'll work on a proposal. So someone will have money to develop a proposal for a particular project, like the lunar lander that we were working on. So we had, I forget what fraction of my time, it was for like a year. I think I spent half my time working on that proposal. And it was like a 250-page proposal, and I was the JPL lead, and then there was another guy at Colorado who was the project scientist, and there were some people up at NASA Ames, who were working on it, and so it was a lot of collaboration. And you submit that proposal, and then it takes 6 or 8 months for them to get back to you. And as it turned out, they had however many proposals. It was a Explorer, I think, I can't remember, $200 million proposal anyway, and there were 4 projects that were selected, but only 2 were funded, and ours was not one of the ones that was recommended for funding. And so you're kind of at that point, it's like, oh, well, if it had gone ahead, that would have probably kept me, that would have been a project I was involved with for the next 10 years or more. But when it doesn't, then you're kind of like, oh, now I have to find the next thing. And you've kind of already moved on to the next thing, because it takes so long from you submitting the proposal to actually hearing that you've got to fill that time with something else as well. So it's a bit of an odd thing. But yeah, actually, like, cancel flight projects, I saw it happen while I was there. It didn't happen to projects that I was actually on. So
yeah, that way, as you kind of wrap time up with NASA, was there anything you didn't get to see come to fruition, or like was anything kind of still hanging in the air when you finished up, or?
Yeah, so I had just, when I left, so we had our daughter, and I took a leave of absence to be a stay-at-home dad. So we had made the decision that we had a lot of struggle to have a kid, and we decided we weren't gonna just hand her off to like a nanny or someone to look after while we both carried on working. And so I took a year leave of absence, and just before that happened, a couple of months before, I got moved to a different group. I was actually going to start working on what's called formulation, and so I would have been involved in a bunch of different projects and collaborating with all of the different scientists and engineers that were involved to kind of pull it all together and write the actual proposals, and kind of help them to write the best proposals and do the best science that they could. And I think that would have been super interesting, and that's probably what I would have been good at from the get-go at JPL. And it just took, I think, them and me too long to get there, and the timing just kind of didn't work out. So when the year of my family leave came up, I ended up deciding to not go back. Yeah, which was a tough decision, but I don't regret it for a minute. But yeah, it was a tough decision.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's one of those things where you don't know you've made the right or wrong choice until it's done. You've you got to roll with the decisions that you've made, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's absolutely right, and you can't go back. You know, you should, as somebody said, you should never regret what you've done. Well, I mean, within reason, obviously. uh, and so I try and live by that. And the other thing that I read that I really like is it's never too late to be who you could have been. So if someone was
Yeah,
asking
I'll
about going back to school as a mature student, I mean, I was 27 when I went back to grad school. 20, no,
yeah.
is that right? I went back to grad school. I was 26, 27, and I'd been working in finance for 5, 6 years. And so I certainly don't regret going back to school.
Hmm.
But it's definitely, it's been a journey, and one of my passions was always kind of outreach, and a lot of that, there weren't a lot of opportunities to get involved directly in outreach at JPL. It's kind of it's more of a marketing type role rather than
Right.
a science role. There are scientists and stuff, but so I enjoy streaming here on Twitch and uh, getting people excited about science and astronomy, and I think it's been really nice to come back to it after just having. So I went back to finance after I left JPL while our daughter was in school. I kind of had some time during the day after she
Hmm.
went to preschool and stuff, so I did that. But now things have changed again, so it's all good.
Yeah. No, it's good. I'm glad that you do this and that you will that there is no there are no two streams that are exactly alike, and everybody's going to have something different, their own area of expertise. And I think with you working NASA at GPL adds like an incredible amount of credibility to everything that you're saying. So I thank you for what you do here and sharing all of the knowledge on Twitch as much as possible. And just it's the whole thing of this being a free venue where anybody can join in
Yeah.
and maybe learn a little bit and maybe unexpectedly as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I try not to be like, I'm very conscious of trying to not be like a know-it-all and just shove stuff down people's throats and just kind of let people find things out for themselves. And
Mhm.
not there's sometimes people say things and you're like, yeah, that's not quite right, but you don't want to, you know, you want to encourage people's curiosity, I think, and a lot of the time, like, so you were asking about JPL. At JPL, that if you said something was wrong, it was going to get pointed out to you immediately
Yeah.
in no uncertain terms. So it was a pretty harsh environment for that. But I don't think that's most people don't learn well that way. I don't think. So we have a chat question. It says the Zesty Fungi would like to know what piece of recent science news you have really enjoyed.
Recent science news. Hmm, I don't know. I have this weird love hate relationship with, is Pluto a planet? Is Pluto not a planet? We're not going to get into that one, but it was. Well, I don't know why. Maybe it's because maybe because Star Wars is my more favorite sci-fi soap opera. Um, when Planet Vulcan was looked at again and realizing that there wasn't actually there wasn't a 40 Eridani B
Oh,
to be seen. There was a false positive. So saying that everybody who was so hyped up for a Planet Vulcan in the star system of where it was fabled to be in was not really there. And maybe that might change. That may change down the line, but it's essentially it seems to have been confirmed as a false positive that no, there is no planet Vulcan. So maybe it's some weird kind of thing to Star Trek. I don't know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was one of the more recent news um, little tidbits that had come out, and it's just like, oh, that's science. Like, frankly, tomorrow's answers could be different than today's. That's what I like about it. That and what it's helped me with kind of getting into this is I am okay saying I don't know or I was wrong, and not feeling that I have to protect any of these answers because a lot of them can change. I think the James Webb Space Telescope is going to start changing a lot of answers, and we're in like what, the first year almost now. We're kind of getting into like the first year of observation with JWST. That has already been so much discovered that we have to kind of go back and look at.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, I mean, and that's, I think people misunderstand science as well, you know? It's like, they think that scientists, when they come out with a result, they're saying, well, this is the answer. Like to take a, well, not controversial for me, but controversial example, like Fauci and the response to COVID. It's like, we're doing the best with the information we have at that time. That information changes with time, and so therefore our recommendations change with time. You know, we're not saying this is the answer for now and forever. This is our best answer based on the current information that we have. You know, and that's true for all science.
Yeah,
And
exactly. I think also what we have lived this in real time, when really with a lot of other things in science, not just specifically medicine, is that a lot of stuff happens in the background we don't hear about, or if unless you're reading the papers
right,
regularly, like research papers, you're not going to know about it. And all of a sudden, here's this thing that we have. Here's this thing we've developed. Oh, how long's it been working on it? Like 10, 15 years. Meanwhile, for like the past 3 years, it's been a few weeks, you
right,
know. But again, with the access with SpaceX and with NASA and the rocket launches and the test launches and the test firings, seeing things fail, that we have this incredible access to everything. But stuff doesn't happen like Hollywood, and I think that's where maybe a lot. Not saying that, maybe just a greater emphasis on that science takes time. It doesn't move as quickly as we thought it really would. So patience is a incredible thing that we have, that asking from a lot of people.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's yeah, right. You can go fast and not be accurate, or you can take your time and, you know, your error bars are reduced.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
uh,
The same thing with graphic design. I would be like, okay, you can have it fast, but it won't be cheap.
right.
You can have it cheap, but it's not going to be good. But you can have it fast. You know,
Big,
there's like this Venn diagram of three things that you
big,
can ask for, and you're only going to get two.
yeah, exactly. Right. That's right. Um, all right. I think those are all the questions I had. Unless Stream has anything else for you, let's see. Uh, oh wait. There was a question for me. What, I've lost it though. Leia Mcore said, how has working for NASA helped you to approach and apply things you see while streaming here on Twitch? Leia Mcore, I would say just being exposed to a lot of different things at NASA. So I worked on Earth science projects, I worked on astronomy projects, astrophysics, supercomputers, doing actual engineering, like building systems. I flew on an airplane, actually in Winnipeg, for a summer. Puked on that airplane actually. Um,
Did you ever go on the Vomit Comet at all
yeah,
for any?
yeah. So the instrument that we were working on was called PALS, and it was a precursor for the SMAP experiment, which was a soil moisture thing. And so what we would do is take off from the Winnipeg, from the airport. It was two guys. The pilots were both ex Air Force. Like, one was an F-16 pilot, and the other guy, I forget what he used to fly. And it was in a big Twin Otter, which we had been to Colorado. It's in Grand Junction, I think. They fit these things out for all kinds of different science stuff, but also for military operations and all sorts of things. And we went and integrated all of our instruments onto this Twin Otter, and then they flew it up to Canada, and we jumped on a plane from LA and flew up there and met them. But part of the calibration, because this thing was measuring soil moisture, we flew over a lake, which, you know, 100% water. So you fly the aircraft flat and level over the lake, and you take a measurement, and you hope that that's your baseline. And then they start to turn the thing side to side to get more land. And then they did some kind of crazy spiral thing. And for the most part, I was okay. But there was one night where I had been up with a Scandinavian friend of mine who apparently had an infinite capacity for alcohol. And we were up until about 3 in the morning, and we had to be at the airport at 6 or something. And it just at some point, yeah, it didn't end well. But it was just it was a bag. The sick bags were there, and nobody really would have known if I hadn't said anything about it, because we were we were kind of all doing our own thing. We weren't, you couldn't see each other in the aircraft. We were sat behind our instrument stuff. But anyway, yeah. So, but just seeing all these different things, I think Lamcore, it kind of gives me, like, I'll see stuff when we're talking on stream, and something in my brain will be like, oh, I remember that, and it kind of make these connections. And sometimes I can't remember on stream, and I have to go away and think about it, and then next stream I'm like, oh yeah, I remembered this thing. So I think just having it's kind of a broad background is helpful. Not helpful when you want to do science, because people want a very specific background, but I'm more of a generalist, I would say. So that probably helped. But the vomiting thing, yeah, I don't know. That doesn't help anything. Yeah. So listen, Astrocanuck, unless there's anything else, or unless chat has anything else, I would thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you coming on, and congratulations again on making partner. Thank you for all the awesome streams that you give us, and all of the widgets and the redeems and all of the fun, and for the pain that we get to inflict on you through hot food. And yeah, so thanks.
Oh boy, you're very welcome. I am going to be doing a 1-chip challenge soon with another stream, because I said to her, if you did hit this goal, I would join in and be your spice Sherpa, as it were. So I will be doing a 1-chip challenge very soon. We haven't locked in a date, but it might be sometime this week.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll keep an eye out. And also, just for everyone else's, another announcement: Astrocanuck and I will be going head to head in Kazakh Princess's fandom trivia challenge. Is it next Monday, I think?
Yep, Monday.
So
along with Marvelous Tay, member in the brick building community.
Yeah, so no stream next Monday, but we'll be on someone else's stream. So hopefully all you guys will be able to come and join. So, but I'm not killing the stream just yet. We'll wrap things up. But Astrocanuck, thank you again so much, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure, and I thank you for everything that you do here on Twitch. So
thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Keep up the science.
Yeah, you too. Okay, take care.
All right, talk to you soon.
Bye.